What is cracking, everybody? Off season is here, and we're going to talk about it. I hope hope somebody or somebody's joined because it's not the sexiest thing to talk about with the Super Bowl going on. But for those of you are interested, that's what we're going to talk about. I wasn't sure about going live tonight. I told the guys, and a lot of it had to do with the simple fact that we got some quite big news kind of waiting to be, ironed out as far as defensive coordinator, and also the news of Brock Purdy's determination whether the surgery is going to be a full 6 month, like a 6 month recovery, or a full Tommy John's. And they haven't really said anything concrete, although they're kind of pointing in the direction of it being not a full calendar year. So that's kind of, I'm hoping and praying that that's the situation. How you guys doing, man? It sucks. We should be talking Super Bowl. We're talking about 49ers offseason and schedule leaks and should McGlinchey be re-signed and Brandon Ayuk and all that stuff. How's everybody doing?
I was doing great until you reminded me that we weren't going to the Super Bowl, but just kidding. I'm doing all right. I'm cool, man. Thank you for having me on.
And then he said McGlinchey.
The M word.
I've seen some Dolphins fans asking about him,
Yes.
and I'm like, hey, you can have him, but I don't think you want him for your blind side, bro, especially not past, I
haven't told my brother that yet, that was on Twitter. And Beto, you're not fired. You said you weren't available. You can join anytime you want, homie.
The link's in the chat.
The link's in the Twitter message deal.
It's not like you said it's separate.
Why are there people on Twitter? Some of these people are Niner fans trying to convince me that McGlinchey was good. He only gave up this many sacks. Look, he only gave up this many pressures. I don't care what the black and white stats say, because usually those black and white stats may mean something when it comes to certain players. But in McGlinchey's fucking case, they don't mean shit. Because I watch the game, when he watches the game, when Joe Schmo's grandma watches the game, when the family dog watches the game, they all know that this guy fucking is whack, and we could do way better.
Yeah, 100%. So for all of you guys that know, or follow me on Twitter, I don't know if you guys just saw what I tweeted. So there's a soundbite of Nick Sirianni getting interviewed, and I posted a picture of Screech, or the actor that played him, Dustin Diamond, in his later years. He looks just like their coach. Hopefully, he gets a lot of run on social media. I'm like, I tweeted. I noticed this guy. I knew that I recognized this guy, and I put a picture of Screech up there. Looks just like him. If you can find it on Twitter, it's pretty hilarious. Hopefully, it gets some run.
What a bad end, Dustin Diamond, man. That guy. Oh,
all right.
Yeah, he didn't live his life. He didn't live his life too great. And then at the end, I feel bad for him, even though.
You're saying you tweeted it? Because I don't see it on your Twitter, dude.
It's like I think it's a response. So it'd be like tweets and replies.
Well, okay. I think I did find it. If you want me to, wait, no, that can't be Nick Sirianni.
Nick Sirianni, and then it's a picture of Screech underneath it. And I swear to God, if you want to show it here, more than welcome.
I'll let you know when I'm ready to show.
Let me just say what's up to the chat. We got Bebop Jones in the house. What's going on, my man? Raphael 562 always in here. Thank you so much. Beto's here, not in the stream with us. I don't know why. No, I know why. I love your support, Beto. Even though Brian Culp, the usual reliable OG of subscribers on my channel, I thank you so much. Where are we going here? We're going down, baby.
Where do we go? Where do we go now? Yeah.
We have the Niner Fanatic podcast in the building. How you doing, man? Thank you so much.
What up?
49er Throwback is in the building. How you doing? Thanks for coming through, guys. I know it's not the sexiest stuff. Brandon is in the building. What's going on, Brandon? My half Sicilian brother from another mother. Although you look way more Italian than I do. I do not like Italian.
You sound it.
Wow. Beto, that's not funny.
Because you're Sicilian.
Beto, that's not funny. He's at the hospital getting a heart transplant. Just kidding. Just lab
He's
work.
just kidding. He's just
Wow, dude. No. Who
Don't be
else we
that
got
heavy.
in here? We got Rick Diaz in the house, always present, ever present. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys. All of you guys that follow the Niners probably been looking at the same stuff on Twitter, waiting for the news. So let's talk defensive coordinator. It looks like the 49ers have narrowed their search, or at least that's what we think, to Wilkes. What's his name? I just totally forgot his name.
Steve Wilkes. I was going to say
Steve
John
Wilkes,
Wilkes. I like
the
John Wilkes
former
too.
Carolina Panthers assistant head or interim head coach. What's your guys' thought? Are you okay with that if that's who they pick, or do you think there's a dark horse that's going to come in last minute and sweep the Niners off their feet?
Go ahead, Ryan.
He was there for a long time today, supposedly. So I think that's pretty much the best indicator. The interviews where I know I've gotten it before the interview ended, real soon into it, we were talking about things that weren't necessarily the job. I'm not saying that's what happened here, but all those interviews went long because it didn't matter at that point because they had already found their candidate and they were trying to build rapport, you know what I mean, going forth, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of what it was. Not necessarily that they didn't spend the whole time talking about things, but I think they spent a lot of time talking with him because they realized they wanted him. They probably, offered the job to him, said, we're not going to make this official just yet. You go home, get with your wife, you know what I mean? Make sure she's okay with it and whatnot. And then call us, let us know. And then tomorrow we'll, because you got to get home, you got to get dressed, and then you got to come over. You know what I'm saying? You know how this thing's been going lately. So everybody's got to say hi to you. They got to get all the brass in the building to wave, and there's got to be banners made. So yeah, I think that's what's happening. They've figured it out. They're just not releasing it right now.
I kind of feel the same way too, and I know we talk about, the Niners getting draft picks from minority candidates and all that stuff. And I don't want to make light of that because I think that's kind of messed up to make light of it. But him being a minority candidate is just on top of the fact that he seems like a really good pick to replace D'Amico Ryans. He's not there. I don't think the Niners are doing it just to fill a quota. I think they literally like him. The talk around the league is that he's. What's that?
As far as everybody out there in our scheme, I think he's the best fit, and I think that's another reason why that Vic Fangio walked.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, Kyle said it in the end of the year press conference. He says he doesn't want to make wholesale changes, and that's what they would have had to do to have someone like Fangio. They would have to drop it to a 3-4. I love Nick Bosa, but I don't think Nick Bosa is outside linebacker material, just personally.
Or have somebody like Nick Fangio play outside of his bread and butter, which isn't smart either. You know what I mean? So it just seems actually like, and look at promoting D'Amico Ryans. Wasn't that the best case? You know what I mean? It seems like not only do minority coaches also have the same talent, if not better, you know what I mean? But the Niners keep finding them. And that's the thing. I think that it's not that they wouldn't have gotten, a white coach if it was the thing. Look, they were courting Fangio. He just doesn't match it.
Yeah.
And if he's not going to conform to the 4-3, you know what I mean? Then yeah, you got to go somewhere else, bro. And it would have been best. It's best for all sides that Vic Fangio went somewhere else and wasn't here. I just think people would have been frustrated with the little semi retool, you know what I mean? And it just wouldn't have worked right.
Yeah, the Niners are in a win now situation. They have a lot of players that are in their primes, and I think it's best to kind of stick with a scheme that is familiar to the guys so that they're not relearning and playing, because we all know how that goes. When you're thinking on the football field, you're not playing fast. So
and
hopefully
it sounds like he's got a little bit more knowledge of, well, maybe not more knowledge, but he likes to run a little more maybe intricate type things, or a little certain, other. So it just means a different wrinkle. So yeah, you figured out the 49ers defense this year, maybe, right? Okay, well, now you got the same defense almost running the same thing. Now we got different wrinkles, different guy calling the plays too. So it's,
I'm totally down for it. I hope that's the decision they make. How you feeling about it, Bash?
Yeah. So I'm not the biggest expert on Steve Wilkes, but from what I gather is that he's very defensive back friendly, and that DBs do really, really well in his scheme. And I guess he finds a way to develop defensive backs, which I love, because I do like our base of defensive DBs, and I like the base of talent. But I also think that we could do better, and we can develop guys a little bit better. So maybe we bring some life back into Ambry Thomas. That would be nice. I'm not gonna put that on Steve Wilkes in order to say he's boom or bust if he does that or not. But from what I'm reading, from what I read about the guy, he's a big time. He's a leader. He has a leadership type persona, which is what we had with Robert Saleh, which is what we had with DeMeco, and which what we'd gain if we'd hired this guy. And I also hear in terms of the schemes that he runs a lot of zone. So don't expect a lot of man if we if we bring him on board for you man peoples out there. But from what I hear from a lot of other people, I'm taking their word for it more so than mine. But a lot of people say it's almost like a neck and neck type thing between him and Fangio. So I totally welcome it. He's got NFL experience as defensive coordinator, has plenty of college experience as a DC. So we'll see. I mean, it sounds like he's the best candidate available right now. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm totally okay with it. I saw the same report about him being defensive back friendly too, which is always something. I think it's something we struggled with at times this year. So why not kill two birds with one stone? You fill your defense coordinator position, and you also bring in a guy that specializes in defensive backs, and getting them to play maybe better than what they are. Which is, I don't think the Niners were poor, but I definitely think if you had to pick one thing in their defense this year that teams try to attack, it was the downfield passing game on the outside. Depending on a lot of times it was Demo, or sometimes it was even Charvarius Ward. So yeah, I'm totally for it. Sucks, man. We're talking all this defensive coordinator and all this other stuff, man. Like I, in my mind, I'm still thinking how we got screwed losing our quarterbacks in the NFC Championship game. I can't get over it. It's like that girl that you can't just get out of your mind. I'm trying to move on, but I keep having this reoccurring thought of why are we talking about this? But there's nothing we can do about it.
Since you brought the topic up, I want to bring this up. For those of you who saw my show, when I last went live, I had Beto on as my guest. It was the show where I had on the thumbnail where DeMeco Ryans took the Houston Texans head coaching job. But basically, that was also my my video where I did all my rants about the game because I didn't go live. Yeah. If you never heard the F word before, you get ready for a crash course if you ever were to watch that video. But speaking of which, I actually played some excerpts of John Chapman's video that he had on his. Basically, he called it a therapy session, where his live video, which is where he was ranting and raving, and the guy is a totally religious man, and he was cussing up a storm. And I was playing little clips of that. And if you guys ever go to John Chapman's channel, feel free to and check out his video called Therapy Session, because man, he was ranting like no other, and he was dropping all kinds of curse words. And hey, man, it's justified, man. That game will have you curse up a storm, dude.
What's up with him and Jesse? Like two of the nicest people, I think, just, enjoyable kind of people. I know Jesse more than I do John Chapman. I don't watch a lot of, but the things I've seen of him, seems just like a nice personable guy, and they do not like each other.
I don't want to get into that, but yeah, I don't understand it either. I really don't.
I don't know.
Yeah, we like each other, don't we?
Yeah, we all like each other here. Yeah, I'd rather not comment on any of that. I don't want to get anybody pissed.
Oh.
I want to bring up this real quick. So I made a tweet responding to a video of head coach Nick Sirianni, and I tweeted a picture of Screech, the late Dustin Diamond, who played on Saved by the Bell. In his older years, he did look like Screech. Let's see if you can scroll down there. Come on, guys. Tell me that doesn't look like the same person.
Oh man.
Oh, please. I'm sorry.
Rest in peace, Dustin Diamond. Though,
Rest in
man.
peace, Screech. I feel bad. I'm not trying to make light of a person who passed, but he does look like the coach. Like I literally
Bro,
saw him with that frown in that press conference, and I'm like, is Screech?
I
If
can't
only it could
stand
age
Cyril.
like Jaleel White.
What's
the
that?
other nerd, Urkel.
Jaleel
you know what I'm
White.
saying?
That's Steve Urkel.
Jaleel
Steve
White.
Urkel.
Yeah, the other nerd.
Did I do that?
I heard he was a prima donna.
Yeah, I
Which
heard they had
Really?
some
Man.
issues on the set of Family Matters with
Bro.
him.
My grandma could not stop raving about him. Oh, he is such a nice young man. So, and you should see him when he's not wearing his. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. And like,
Hey, he has a fan. Urkel, if you're watching.
Oh,
Yeah, I
man.
like Jaleel White, but I always thought he looked a little bit like Jerry Rice a little bit back in the day.
Don't talk about Jerry Rice like that.
No,
Come
I know.
on, now.
I don't want to bring that on Jerry Rice. All right, let's talk the latest Brock Purdy news that we know that was dropped today. A lot of people, including Matt Barrows and Matt Mayoko, have both said it's looking more. Now, don't freaking kill the messenger here. It's looking like the 6-month window where he'd be available to start training camp on time is looking like the most likely scenario. They're going to, I don't know if they're just waiting for another, more confirmation from other outside sources. I read something that he might have some sort of internal brace put in his elbow. I've never heard of that before. But it's just a matter of that he wants to get as much good advice as possible. Listen, guys, I love Trey Lance, like the next guy. But I'm not going to lie if I don't put it out there that like, I feel real comfortable with Brock Purdy because he's a known entity and Trey's still not. And this team is in a win now mode now. That could all change. He could totally biff it in training camp if he's able to play. And Trey Lance could look like the second coming of Jesus Christ. And if that's the case, then go with Trey. I'm not against it either. So what do you guys take from that? Happy, surprised, jovial? Like how you feeling? Either of you can go.
This don't mean shit.
Right.
Right now, it don't know me. We know what they have said about injuries before in the past and the time frames on them,
Right.
and they are very rarely correct. So, for Brock Purdy, I hope this to be 100% true for him. You know what I mean? I was talking on what was I? I was on Fuck It with Platform 246 and Wolf Cast. Niner Gang.
We all mess it up. It's okay.
Yep, Niner Gang Wolfcast. I just said, hey, competition, whoever wins, it's a win for us. You know what I mean? So that's how I want to see it. Because also, look, if Brock comes back in 6 months, it's not a given that he would be 100% stepping into training camp. And if you got a Trey Lance who has figured some things out and is able to move around the field and throw it, better than somebody who is trying to get back into the swing of things, we could see something totally different coming out of camp. So who knows? It doesn't mean shit.
Yeah, and
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
And we don't know if he's really going to get this, what procedure he's really going to have just yet. It's not confirmed that he's not going to get Tommy John surgery. If he gets Tommy John surgery, I believe it's a 9 to 12 month recovery time. So, and Ryan's totally right. I was thinking the same thing. Like so many times they'll say certain players come back and then they don't. And then it's like you're sitting there waiting for an extra month, or they just don't come back at all. Or you get those weird scenarios where Kinlaw actually does come back, but he might as well have not came back because when he came back, he sucked ass and it was worse than he previously was. So we don't know how good or bad Brock Purdy's going to look when he does make that comeback. We don't know exactly what surgery he's going to get. And for the record, there isn't a UCL internal brace system. I'm looking at it right now from arthrex.com. So I found that it's kind of a funky looking contraption that they do. So who knows? I mean, I wish Brock Purdy the best. It's something inside. Yeah, it's some weird thing. They do some weird thing. I can't even explain how they do it.
So I was watching TED Talks earlier today, and he had the doctor on. I can't remember his name, but
Pandya.
To fix
I can't remember his first name.
Dr. Nirav Pandya.
Thank you.
Yeah. So they
got to go, Ted. By the way,
they still do this thing. I asked him today. I was like, so if they're going to repair it all the way, where are they going to get the new ligament from? And I was like, a tendon. And he's like, yep, either off a cadaver or off the human themselves, off the person themselves. So that's how they would replace it normally, is by taking a piece of, probably they like to do it in the hamstring. It's like a good place they take a patch out of like the center of it. And so they'll move it over and graft it, because it's kind of like ligaments and tendons. They kind of got the same, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but they kind of got the same like stem cells in them. So when you go and put them in a different area, yeah, it knows what to do. It's like, oh, I'm a ligament now. You know what I mean? But you can't take like a piece of muscle and just put it over there and it goes, oh, I'm a ligament. So
sickness.
What's up, guys?
Yo,
he's
got Beto on the road.
Jumping on with you guys for the road a little bit. Keep you guys company. What's up, guys? What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about Brock Purdy and the talk that, there's a couple different things out there. That there's one saying that it could end up being a 6-month thing, and we can get a chance to see him in training camp. Have you paid attention to any of that, Beto?
I've been hearing a little bit that he went today to find out whether he's going to have the 6-month surgery or the 1 year type of surgery. Do you guys know what he decided to do?
From the report from Matt Yoka and from Barrows, it sounded like it was going to be the better of the two, but neither has been confirmed by the 49ers. They were looking for more opinions, or just they want to get the most information before they Brock Purdy wants to get the most information before he makes his choice.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope I hope it's the better of the two. I would hate to see Brock Purdy not play this season or not start in camp, because I would hate to be just Trey Lance. I would love to see a competition between Trey Lance and Brock Purdy.
That's what I was going to finish off with, was that I know, like you said, Brock Purdy's a proven commodity, and a lot of people are so happy that Brock Purdy did well and had success with our team. But some of them just are to the point where they take Brock Purdy's success and then they totally shit on Trey Lance because of Brock Purdy's success.
Right.
When it's unfair to Trey Lance, when Trey Lance didn't get to play in that big of a sample size of consecutive games. So I honestly think, and just in case that Brock Purdy is not that flash of the pan, or he's not that Nick Foles type of guy where he just played that good streak of games, competition is the best thing. It's the best thing for Brock Purdy. It's the best thing for Trey Lance. It's the best thing for this team. It's the best thing for the fans. And I was a huge Trey Lance backer, more so than anybody else, maybe. I mean, but I'm still fine with competition. And if Brock Purdy wins, I'm still fine with it, because it's the best thing for this organization if the better man wins.
I've adopted Beto's line of thinking about it being the name on the helmet more to the name on the back of the jersey. Listen, I love what Purdy did, and if he plays and becomes a starter next year, I'm happy with that. But if Trey, somehow it works out that Trey becomes a starter and Trey balls out, I'm not like, I want the Niners to win a Super Bowl. I don't really care what the means are or how we get there or what the stories behind it. I just want us to win. And if Trey comes in and becomes what we all thought he could be, and Purdy, takes a back seat to it, then you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to sit there and say, well, it didn't fit my narrative, so damn it, I don't care if they lose. I don't care if they win or not. That's insane.
At the end of the day, bro, what is the true narrative? Is to win the 6th Lombardi Trophy, to get that championship back where it belongs, at any means possible. Regardless if it's Trey. Hey, if it's Trey, we will support Trey going forward. If it's Brock, I will support Brock going forward, as long as we are going forward. I always preach that I support the emblem, the 49er emblem, not the name in the back of the jersey. I have my favorite players, like we all do, but at the end of the day, players come and go. I'm a 49er faithful, and I want to win a championship soon. And if that's Trey, awesome. If that's Brock, then let it be. And if it's somebody else, long as it's not Jimmy, I'm good.
I was waiting for it. Somebody said something in the chat about Jimmy who's defending him.
He said he wants him to come back just so he can deal with like all the so he can hear all the criticism about it. Whereas
hey, we got 30 people watching and there's only 18 likes. If we could get some y'all to smash that like
button, smash that like button like you'd smash a bag of Lay's potato chips, man.
Don't forget to wipe your feet.
Yeah. Smash the like button like you want Jimmy out of San Francisco.
I'm gonna break something.
It's funny that you say that because
Joe Montana.
Actually, you know what? Before we talk about Jimmy, let me ask you real quick on the Steve Wilks situation, Beto. That was our first topic. How you feel about there's a lot of noise going on Twitter. Nothing's as of the start of this stream, but
Nothing
it looks like
still.
he's the guy. You happy? You good with that?
Yeah, I like Steve Wilks. I think he brings a great pedigree, football style. Listen, Bert Burns over there in Carolina speaks of him like a father figure. He'll be that great mentor in the locker room. He'll have these players play for one another. I love his X's and O's. And the best part is he is a minority coach. When he goes and gets a head coaching job in 2 or 3 years, we'll get 2 more number 3s. I'm not arguing with that.
I think this way, and I said this to the guys, I said, him being a minority coach, I think he's just really the best choice based on his like you said, his pedigree. Beto or Bashar brought up something that I saw that I forgot was he's DB friendly. He works well with DBs and getting them the most out of their game, which I think with us, for as good as our defense was last year, the DBs at times were a lot of the weakness of the defense, And if he could do anything, go ahead.
The way I describe his relationships with DBs would be like if Chris Kocurek was our defensive coordinator, his knowledge and depth is with DBs as Chris Kocurek's is with the D-line. But he has obviously more because he's been in that position before. He's been in, head coaching position before, you know what I mean? So he's well versed.
Like Diner Gang said, Wilks would make the DB room better than it already is. 100% agree. Go ahead, Beto.
What up, Dion?
What's up, Dion?
I was gonna say, what's up, Dion? I was gonna say, if Steve Wilks does become our DC, and he does specialize in the D-back department, and let's say the Niners, for whatever reason, cannot bring back Emmanuel Mosley, do you think they go after a big name in free agency?
I don't think they go after a big. I think they'll go after a solid guy. But Demo played pretty well down the stretch for the most part. I think Demo would probably enter next year as a starter, and then they would just have to find someone behind him. I hope that Emmanuel Mosley doesn't go. That would suck.
They're not going to pay anybody Javarius Ward money. Not another guy.
Hell no.
Yeah, so. The Niners don't bring in a lot of money or bring in a lot of players to pay a lot of money, especially in the DB room, because they're a rush and cover team. Rush comes first. John Lynch even said it. So last year, he was it. The Niners made one big splash, and it was Javarius Ward. And I'd say 95% of the year he played really well. He had his stretches but all corners, like I said, I talk about this all the time when we stream. That DBs, there's no such thing as a shutdown anymore. The NFL doesn't allow it. And plus, receivers are really good because you can't touch them anymore. So
there's no doubt we couldn't have got to where we were without his play this season.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, C Ward was huge, and we saw what he did in the. Unfortunately, we lost the game, but in the Eagles game, him and Diamador looked really, really good. I mean, so who's that wide receiver on the freaking AJ Brown? AJ Brown was supposed to be this guy that was going to pump all his fear in our hearts and dominate against us. And Eagles fans were talking all kinds of smack that just because he kicked their ass again when he was on the Tennessee Titans, he'll do it again. But I was like, well, we got a completely different set of corners now. Like, let's see what happens. And it's unfortunate. Our corners played lights out in that game.
They did.
But we all know why we lost. You know.
Yep.
So
It's funny
if Wilkes comes in, a little much better than he did this year.
Repeat that, bro.
If Steve Wilkes does come up PC coach, or can become even better underneath him than he was under D'Amico.
Hey,
so.
I hope so. I totally welcome it. We'll see, man. I'm hoping we can get the guy, Ambry Thomas. I still think Ambry Thomas needs to get his head out of his ass.
I think the Ambry Thomas ship has sailed, unfortunately.
But he showed that he could do something his rookie year, though. Remember? I mean, it's maybe more of a confidence thing. Who knows? I mean,
I'd rather have Janoris Jenkins this late in his career than Ambry Thomas.
This is a strong defensive back draft, by the way. So
Okay.
assuming we do hire this guy, and if he's in the war room with Kyle and John or whatever, and he's saying, "Hey, go pick up whatever cornerback in the 5th round," I'd listen to him.
Real quick, 49ers throwback with the $2 super. He says, we need another pass rush. Who's agrees? Oh, 100%. We banged on this drum after the NFC Championship game was over. And I've had a couple discussions last week. I think edge, we need another, two spots, defensive or interior pass rush. And I know there's some guys in free agency. And, the other opposite of Bosa, an edge. Those are the two like defensive things that I worry more about than corner or safety or anything. Bosa at the end of the year was completely taxed. He was tired.
Oh, he was worn out.
He was
dude.
the one-man gang over there. We had, like I said, we had a bunch of guys that were pretty good, but we didn't have another alpha male on the other side. And it's not a knock against any of those guys because I'm not an athlete. I suck. I could never do anything that they do. But like, just from an outsider's perspective, like I think the closest person to Bosa got like 5 sacks. That's not gonna. That doesn't cut it. I'm not saying we got to be the Eagles, but I mean that them in Dallas. Wow, they're impressive.
Freaking Eagles pass rush.
Shout out to Throwback for supporting the channel.
Yeah, I appreciate
Throwback
that.
is
From
awesome. He
Throwback.
supports everybody.
Supports
man.
me on Twitter too, since like the beginning of time.
Where do we go back? It's 49ers throwback because the ceiling can't hold us.
Bebop Jones says, "Hey Beto, can you get him some curly fries?" I don't know.
Yeah, Beto, when you gonna try crispy crunchy chicken, yo?
I don't know, bro. I don't know, bro. I feel suicidal.
Whoa.
I'm kidding.
Oh,
I don't know.
geez.
I
Might have to mute that out of the stream.
I might try it
Want a
too.
cheeseburger?
And I told you when I do it, I'm gonna eat it live on my channel.
Do it live.
Hey,
Look,
Do it
do
live.
I'm gonna
That's
eat it
awesome.
live.
That's what I have under my. Look at my headline. It says it.
You know, Bet though, you need to go to Bashar's house and try his pizza as a
Yeah.
pizza review
I
on
do,
your
but he
channel.
don't invite me.
Hey, if you want to set it up, we can talk about it.
No, Tommy Huxley
Make
just
sure-
shouted
hey,
out himself.
Make sure you get some kebabs too.
Oh, whoa! Now you really put me on the spot. I gotta
Tommy
double duty.
Huxley, he shouted out himself. He says, "Shout out to me for being the mother effing goat."
Just let if John Chapman can say the F word, you can. Come on now.
I'm trying to be a good boy. My mom didn't raise me that way. I said it when those
called me
people
a son
were.
of a bitch, and I told her damn straight.
What's that?
My mom called me a son of a bitch, and I said damn straight. And she went to go hit me, but she knew that she said it, and she was open for it. You know what I mean?
Are you
Like it was
serious
like
or are you just being funny?
I'm totally being dead serious.
Oh my gosh.
And the only reason why she didn't is because she knew I was clever enough and that she had said it, called me a son of a bitch, you know what I mean? And that was her bad for putting herself out there. And I don't know why. I was sitting in hey. It was a different
I don't know what
relationship.
I just heard in the background, but I'm just gonna leave that at that. Did somebody just
flatulence?
Did somebody rip one on cam? Like, what just happened here?
I want to rewind this shit. I want to hear this.
Beto,
Let's.
you got an asshole
I-
talking shit behind your back?
Nah, bro.
I don't know what that was. Anywho, I'm not the only one that heard that too. Let's.
What
Did you
did I
guys
hear?
see? What's that?
What,
I heard
what did
something
you
go.
guys
hear?
"Rah." That's what I heard.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
If I sit down in
Hey,
this chair,
I was
quick,
waiting
it
for you to
sounds
make
like
a Joe Montana reference.
Oh,
Joe Montana reference.
You didn't hear Joe
Yeah,
Montana talking
Oh
about the
no,
quarterbacks?
no! I heard him. Listen, I'm the biggest mark when it comes to Montana. But in my recent years, my nephew always calls me a hater. He goes, "You support a bunch of people, and then you hate on them later in life, like The Rock." The Rock irritates me. I don't know. He's in everything. He's on steroids. He just bothers me. But Montana has become a guy that only does stuff for money. He does appearances for money. He does everything is money based. You never see him do anything. Like when you see him on a radio show, they paid to have him on. Don't think he came on like Steve Young does on KNBR or when they have, freaking Dennis Brown or I'm trying to think, Ronnie Lott comes on KNBR sometimes and talks. And sometimes he talks in circles, but that's okay because it's Ronnie Lott. Montana, you just don't see him. The comment that he thinks Jimmy is better to start over Trey or Purdy, I think Joe's losing it. I think all those hits that he took during his career are starting to show their ugly head.
Did you take a look at his face in that interview? Did you see how he looked physically? His eyes. And
Montana doesn't look very good.
He's looking like an old man. I'm not trying to rag on the guy, but he's looking really. He's not aging well, dude.
No, it's part of the culture, Italian culture, though. We don't age very well. We get old quick. I think because I got some of my dad's fatness, I'm a little more round. Like my mom's side, they age rough. I love it.
I used to go to school. When you said the round thing, the first thing that popped in my head was this one kid that I went to junior high school with, and he used to always say, "Your mama is fat and round. Your mama is fat and round." I'm sorry, man. That just stuck in my head. I had to let it out.
Hope nobody here has a fat
I
mom.
like how he had to, show how round. Like it wasn't just,
That's how he used to do it. He used to use these hand gestures.
like your mama is so big she got a stomach you can set a beer on. You know what I mean? Like for set her beer on.
Your mom is so fat she got hit by a car. She said, "Who threw that rock?" That's the one I heard. I don't know. Pretty bad.
David McNiner. David McNiner has a comment.
Yeah, Montana's has PSD from Steve Young being behind him.
He said something about that. He mentioned that. Did you hear that?
He does it a lot when he's talking about stuff. Listen, I love Joe to death. I love him more than. I'm starting to like Steve as a person more. Montana just. I don't know, man.
I love old Joe. I love old like early Joe.
I love Joe the player.
Yes.
Joe the player. Yay.
Joe Montana, the old curmudgeon guy who's crusty, you just always has to make references to Steve Young and getting done dirty.
Joe is not very fun.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it.
Joe's like the guy that yells at his wife if his lemonade doesn't have enough ice cubes in it.
What was that Clint Eastwood movie where he's like this mean guy that's like a get off the porch kind of guy? What's that movie called?
Gran Torino.
Great, yeah. He's like that basically. That's how Joe Montana is now. Even though I never saw the movie, but
Yeah, that movie has a lot of racial stuff in it. I
Okay,
tried to stay
but-
away from it.
No, it's a good movie. It is because that asshole figures out he's being an asshole to some of these people for no damn reason, and then he figures out that he actually likes them and respects them. You know what I
Alrighty.
mean? And he end up. Well, I'm not going to tell you the end of it because you gotta watch it.
Beto says
It's
he's
a good
going to go back inside of the his A. So, will we see you more, or are you bowing out for the night, homie?
We'll see.
Yeah, I'll come back in.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right,
Yeah.
and you don't stop. All right,
I don't know if you noticed how Homeboy's camera on the bottom is like crisscross. Okay, there you go. Cool. Oh, because you had the overlay going. That's why.
Yeah, I got a bunch of things going. Oh, hold
Did
on.
you notice when the chats were going how it would like pop Beto and I up and like almost look like I had a visor if I went up here like this?
Appreciate that. Rick Diaz says, "Shout out to all the faithful to other in the panel." Right
Thank you,
now,
Rick.
I appreciate it. Appreciate that.
you for tuning in.
Appreciate you. Appreciate.
Rick Diaz.
My whole thing with Montana is just he's become just like a bitter old man who just he doesn't pay attention to the team, man. There's no way he pays attention to the team right now. To say that Jimmy should start over Brock Purdy.
Does he really care about the team? He picked the Chiefs.
He
to beat
doesn't
us
watch
in
the
Super Bowl.
games, bro. He doesn't.
He said the
watch
Chiefs were going to
games.
beat us at the Super Bowl. So
Yeah. Which he was right.
yeah, unfortunately.
Because of Jimmy G, who he thinks should start again.
Yeah, exactly. The guy who won all the games. He won all the games. He wins
That's
games.
smart,
he wins
Joe.
games.
He doesn't though. Oh, did you see? Oh God. East Bay Chris found a gem. Shout out to East Bay Chris.
Let me pull this shit up. What do he do?
It says he's retweeting one of Lombardi's tweets, and it says Yak is a quarterback stat too, or also.
I gotta find this one. I gotta find this.
It's amazing, bro. Which I understand the
I
point
found
that
it.
could be made for it. Like if you're throwing somebody into the open part of the field, you know what I mean? Or the ball, in front of them so they don't have to like stop or come back. You know what I mean? Then you can help be in charge of Yak. But essentially that's your job as the quarterback, is to do your job competently. And yeah, Yak is he's bad too. Oh my God. Shout out to East Bay Chris.
Please tell me
East Bay
Lombardi.
Chris.
Is he being serious?
He was
Yes,
serious
he
on
was
that
totally
one. He
being
was
serious.
serious. That's so funny.
How is Yak a quarterback stat?
I'm saying you can make a point for it, saying that, if you throw a certain way, it'll make it better for a quarterback or a receiver to catch it.
Oh.
But at the same time, that's your job as a quarterback. And then everything after that would be the receivers, because you got it to where it needed to go.
Yak is a quarterback stat. It rhymes. What
So,
up, Raj?
Raj,
There's,
What's up, what's
Man,
up?
you coming out of the woodwork. Come
Raj,
on.
Raj just decided to grace us with his presence. I think we have a
Raj
little
knocks on the door.
communication.
You let him in.
Absolutely. I'm always spamming him invites. One of these days, I'm going to go to his thing and it's going to say, "This account has blocked you."
No, never, man. I'm always cool. No, he hits me up. My boy Aaron hits me up. Appreciate y'all. He goes, "Hey, you want to be on the show tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, I got time a little later." And so he says 9:30. In my mind, I'm West Coast. I'm like, "Yeah, 9:30." I'm eating dinner. I'm chilling. I'm on the phone. And then I look at the DM again. He sends me the link. So I was like, let me just make sure he means 9:30 Pacific, right? He's like Eastern. I'm like, it's 7:15 over here. Y'all already I was like, oh crap. Let me clean my plate real quick. And then I was like, let me come in. So yeah, happy to be here. But I was thinking I still had 2 hours to prep, But
It's all good, man. I appreciate you making time, even though you were stuffing your pie
bro.
hole.
No doubt.
There's nothing to prep for when you come on this show, so let you know.
All
You just
right.
hop
What'd you
right
have?
in.
We
What'd you
had
have
some
for dinner?
tacos. We made tacos tonight, So
Mm.
It was a Taco Monday.
it's Taco Monday. I had the meat. I was like,
Tacos are every day, dude.
it is. You can.
You could have tacos tomorrow and still be good.
It's good, yeah. It was easy to make. I was like, you know what? I don't want to waste my time on thinking about what to make. It was there in front of my face, and I said, let's make the damn taco. So it was good.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Beto's going to stay in the chat. He said his wife's she just made some Italian dinner.
Oh,
Or she's making Italian.
yeah, that's good.
You are a lucky man.
Okay.
Shoot, I'm Sicilian.
What?
And nobody makes me. Well, my mom, she lives in my house. She can make sauce. She doesn't tell me how to make it either. I've asked my mom. I'm 43. I've asked my mom for, let's see, years that I've been able to talk to her, where we could understand each other. I'd say 37 of those years, I've asked her how to make sauce. Italian women don't keep no notes because they don't ever want anybody to make something and have it be better than theirs. So they just don't. They don't let anybody
that's the
know.
other thing. If they teach you, then they stand behind you the whole time and tell you how you're not doing it right.
Right. My mom likes to watch from the corner and wait for you to screw up so she can take over.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a litany of things. I could give you like a little bit of a buzz through real quick. You can give your pointers. The Purdy injury latest, we still haven't heard more than what we heard earlier today, which is it's leaning towards the 6-month putting a internal brace, something in his elbow. Mayoka and Barrows both kind of they almost released the same tweet at the same time. Any thoughts on that? Oh, you're muted, homie.
My bad. I forgot I was muted. Yeah, no. So I think it's good news. The fact that it's probably going to be the 6-month route, other than a Tommy John surgery, because that could be 9 months to a year. It's tough. So I think this is good news for us. Obviously, heading into the next season, because he'll probably be ready by August, most likely, and you'll have him there, so he'll most likely be able to make that roster, and he shouldn't have any too many setbacks as long as everything goes smoothly and there's no issues with the surgery. August we'll be back and it's ready to rock and roll. So I think this is really good news. Of course, we got to wait for the official news, but this is kind of the same sentiment that John Lynch said last week in the press conference, right? That they're most likely aiming for that 6-month return to play indication. So I think everything's leaning towards that, which is good. 3 months of healing and then 3 months recovery to return to play, and that's your 6 months. So obviously for the Niners, who right now don't have a healthy quarterback on the roster, this is huge news for the team. So I think it's positive information.
What's your take on the Stephen Wilkes again, looking like he might be the guy? I wanted to get your opinion on that. I don't know much about him on X's and O's other than he's like what Bashar said. The DB comment that he's kind of like a expertise, kind of like Kasurek is with defensive linemen. That's what Ryan said. Would you kind of give a similar statement?
Yeah, I agree. He's definitely a secondary type guy. He has the experience. This is the guy I want based on the candidates they have right now. Chris Harris, Chris Kasurek, who I like both of those guys, but they're young. They haven't been a DC before. Wilkes has been a DC. He's been a head coach, so he's got the experience. And I think Kyle wants a guy that can come in. Like he said, he doesn't want to change the system too much. You don't want to send too many rifts through the team. You got Chris Kasurek. Hopefully they pay him a little bit extra to stay, be the D-line coach, because you're not going to change that wide 9 system. And you can keep the base of the defense ready, similar there. And then Wilkes can fix the secondary, which they're going to need because they don't really have a safety other than Hufanga. So he can get some guys, maybe bring some people from Carolina, draft some different people, little different perspective. But I think overall he'll keep it within the same system, scheme base. And also, again, Kyle doesn't need a guy he needs to hold his hand or say, hey, look, can you do? He needs a guy that could come in and say, here's the defense, here's the paperwork, here's your keys, get out of my face, go run this defense and make it work. That's what he needs. He's worried about the offense and everything else on this team. He needs a guy that he could just say, here's the defense, take care, make it work, make it number one, So I think Wilkes is the guy.
Yeah, Kyle seems like the type of person, because he's an offensive-oriented coach, who wants somebody in charge of the defense who, like you said, he doesn't have to hold their hand. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think that's key too. My whole thing is just we've been hearing all this stuff, the stuff in Brock Purdy all day, and I didn't want to stream tonight because there was really no resolutions in sight. And then I'm like, we just got to go and do it. And then if something drops during the stream, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I was waiting because that would have been so much more interesting to be like, yeah, we got this guy, and yeah, this is happening. But eventually, I caved. It's weird. Doing off-season stuff is tough to talk about because I was telling the guys before, and I'm sure you feel the same way. You keep mentally reminding yourself of like, we should be playing right now. We should not have lost that game. I know some people move on with relationships quicker. And some people with sports move on quicker, especially if channels like Bashar, he talks about basketball and stuff too. So you kind of move right into the next sport. I am a football guy only. So that's kind of like my thing. And now there's nothing to talk about. So off-season talk sometimes isn't sexy. But I mean, there's some interesting things to be discussed for sure.
Yeah, it's frustrating because you're right. You're reminded, like tonight, the damn Super Bowl media week is on. So you're reminded that your team lost. But for me, off season, I'm just getting started. Like I got I'm looking towards the free agency market, the draft, the head coach. So I find something to talk about every night. Sometimes it's like pulling a needle out of a haystack because I'm like, okay, there's really nothing to talk about. Oh, let me dust off. Oh, back in 1995, the 49ers, let's talk about that. Sometimes you have to really stretch it Or there's times where you could take some time off in between and go rest your head and do some activities, some fun things. But for me, it's tough because I got to keep rolling and keep the content going. And that's the hardest part. So sometimes you just got to find things to talk about, and you're just searching. You're looking on Google, you're looking on Twitter. You're like, okay, 49ers, what's something to talk about? Oh, okay, nobody's talking about that. Let's mention that, So it can get a little bit tough, but that's why I like maybe, going into the draft content and free agency stuff. So, that kind of keeps things floating a little bit. But there are times during the off season when it's absolutely dead, and you're like,
yeah,
okay,
like post
nothing.
OTAs,
Mm.
pre-training camp, that's like dead period. Unless somebody gets a serious injury while they're training by themselves, there is absolutely no talking about anything. So if you got a channel, that's why me and Ryan are trying to develop a channel talking about like pop culture and 80s and just stuff that's not sports, because there comes a time where you'd be like, all right, I got all this equipment I can record and make videos with, but there's no Niner talk. So, but you're right. They'll with guys like you and people who follow the team really closely, and it's really part of their, what they do. Part of what you do a lot of it. It's part of your. I know you work outside of what you do, but it's just as important. So yeah, and plus, with the combine coming up soon, I'm sure you'll be talking a lot about, guys that you saw that would fit right in. Speaking of free agency, I saw some lists of interior defensive tackles. I don't have it with me, but one of them was Gerard Payne from the Commanders.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the Niners? Because somebody made a tweet. Maybe it was you, maybe it was somebody else that said if the Niners are going to make any free agent moves this year, because you can't draft you can draft, but it's not always a guarantee. It might be offensive tackle and defensive tackle. You kind of have the same sentiment, or you think the Niners might pull something out of their ass and do something completely different?
No, 100%. Payne is my big free agent acquisition if they can get anybody, because I don't really see anybody else on the market that they're going to be. Because I think they need an edge rusher. I talked about that today on the show with Larry Krueger, but I don't see like a big time guy out there on the market right now. So they may have to draft some guy or trade or something crazy, like you said, pull something out of their ass. They got Nick Bosa to pay, so I don't know where they're going to go with that. They have a lot of free agent edge rushers, Willis, Ebicam, and Omenihu, who I don't know who they're going to bring back. But interior D-line, they need some help. Armstead is good, but he needs some help in there. Javon Kinlaw was getting pushed around like dead weight in that, in the NFC Championship game, unfortunately, and just hasn't been able to stay healthy to give them enough and develop. So they need a guy. Payne, if they can get Payne with Chris Kasurk on this D-line, oh my God, I will be happier as can be. And then whatever else they do, I'm sure will be great. But to me, if they're going to get a free agent that is not on their team, on the market, go get Payne, and everybody else, whatever you got to do, get me that man. He had 12 sacks this year. Give that production in the interior. Bosa's job will be a lot easier, because in the playoffs, man, that man was gassed out. He was so tired.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Payne can play edge too. I don't know if you've seen some of his tape. His rush from the outside is perfect. Like some of his moves, especially like a lot of his when he's breaking the zone run scheme. You know what I mean? He's got great technique. Like there's no fat on his technique. He is bracing the guy who's in his face with one hand while he's got his hand on the other offensive player's hip, and he is keeping an open spot for his hips to just get through. And once his hips are on the other side, it's over. He's really good. The only problem is everybody wants him. Everybody wants him.
Yeah.
Raiders. And how are we going to pay him? How are we going to pay the guy with all the other guys that we have to sign?
You know how you pay him?
That's
You let Parag Marab figure that out. That's what I'm let that man.
Well,
that's
also
my boy.
You could be like, Bosa, you wanted the hometown deal. Well, we want this guy. Do you want this guy on your team? How can we make this all you and him work? And our Eric Armstead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Beto's got some numbers here. He says he will require a 5-year, $97 million contract. That's $20 million a year. I think he's a bit too much for us.
And I don't know if this draft is D tackle heavy either. We've been talking about trying to just draft a huge fat run stuffer if possible, but I don't know if if we could even find a good enough D tackle in this draft. I'm not sure how deep the D tackles are in this draft. You know,
The Niners, to me, need to make a move in free agency at either defensive tackle or an offensive tackle to replace McGlinchey. I don't want McGlinchey back.
I don't.
And
want
I'm
him
not.
back either.
And I know Kinlaw is coming back because that's just the
I
way
got
it
an
works.
idea.
We take a cap hit if we get rid of him.
I really lost.
Take
Go ahead.
Jason Poe. If you're not going to start Jason Poe on the offensive line, you move him to nose tackle, and you see what that guy could do there. He knows run schemes.
He's a versatile guy.
runs.
Yeah, you never know.
He's athletic. That's athletic cat right there.
And he's short. He's short. He's squatty. You know what I mean? This is what we're looking for. Just teach him some defensive stuff and let him be aggressive. He's ornery. You know what I mean? Like he is.
I love that word,
he's-
ornery.
Yeah.
I'm very much that way.
He's trying to dominate who's ever's across from him. Use that to your advantage.
This guy I love his profile pic, by the way, kicking somebody down. That's awesome. I think I need to make that my profile pic. Buckner trade never panned out. No, it never did. It never did. And it never was going to. This whole premise that the Niners thought they were going to go 1-for-1 with the top 15 pick, I'll never understand that. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Never.
Hey, let's trade Jerry Rice.
I don't think they should ever take the number one pick or the player from one player and turn around and use that in the same position ever again.
They should have
I don't think it
gotten
works
Tristan Wirfs, and we would not be talking about
move on.
this
You'll never have the
McGlinchey
comparison ever again. You know what I mean?
Tristan Wirfs, that would have been the move. Oh my god,
That would have been awesome, man.
That's a franchise. That's not fair. But we needed that against a team like the Eagles. The Eagles got defensive linemen coming out of their ass who can rush the passer. It's ridiculous.
Those guys.
See, I don't like to give them a lot of credit because they beat us at a weakened state, but they do have a really good defensive line. I ain't gonna front and be like, no, man, they suck. No, they're pretty good. They're pretty fantastic.
Dude, right when the 49ers season ended, I don't know if I mentioned this on this show before. I mentioned it on my show before, but I was on the phone with my friend.
Drive.
No, right when the 49ers season had ended, the regular season, about a few days after the regular season ended, I was on the phone with my friend and I was just looking up shit on my computer. And we were just talking about random stuff, and we weren't even talking about football at that point in time. But in the middle of the conversation, I was like, fuck. And he's like, what's wrong? I was like, dude, the Eagles had 70 sacks this season. That's third all time in NFL history. And I knew we were going to play their asses, and I knew it was going to be a fucking issue. And I'm not trying to say I cursed the team and I predicted anything bad, but it was definitely a huge concern. I mean, and it burned us, you know?
It did. It totally burned us.
Yeah, that was
Niner Sickness says you're forgetting the guy, Kalia Davis. Oh, I'm definitely not. I was watching a lot of stuff that Larry Krueger or somebody retweeted a Larry Krueger tweet about. He was talking about, I think his name is Marcelino McCrary Ball.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one guy he's looking at to take over possibly, or if Aziz leaves.
Yeah.
He's been, I'll talk to you, Larry called some things out and he's been right on a lot of things. So I'm not trying to be a mark and be like, oh, Larry, but like, I respect his opinion. He was a scout. He's got that scout mentality. He sees things. So
he's the guy. He knows. I was at training camp and I talked because we did some shows in the off season together and we sat there and talked, and McCrary Ball was just tearing it up. And I said the same thing. I was like, I remember because I was talking to Rohan also. And I remember we were sitting next to each other in training camp and I was like, this is the guy. He goes, yeah, this is the guy that they might replace one of these players with next year. And I think if they don't sign him, D'Amico Ryans is taking him and putting him on his team. So McCrary Ball definitely is a guy to keep an eye on. He looked great in the offseason and training camp stuff. So if they can retain him, that's definitely a guy to keep an eye on because Aziz definitely is going. I think D'Amico's going to make him the Fred Warner of his defense 100%. And
my brother would love him in Miami. My brother was talking about it.
No, he's going with D'Amico,
to Miami.
Man. I think he's going to Houston. If he doesn't, I'd be shocked. I'd be absolutely
Why
shocked.
wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right.
Why wouldn't you?
Same scheme.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is you're doing
D'Amico's going to put good guys next to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Houston's, this is not a 1 year. This isn't a 1 year thing too with Houston. It's going to take a little bit. But I have a feeling he's going to build that defense to be very similar to what the 49ers run.
Yeah, and I agree.
What up, Mariah?
Mariah, what's going?
What up, Mariah?
Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacify.
Do you want me to do the real voice? I can do the real voice. If you want.
Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers.
I can't even do it right now because I'm. Me and Mariah go back like babies and pacifiers. Older dog, no liar.
You guys are ridiculous.
There you go. There you go.
What
You
did I
started
start?
it, Aaron.
I know. What did I start?
He was a little liar.
Well, who was the other person I was thinking of to ask you about, Raj? What's a corner that was in training camp last year? A lot of people were talking about him. Fuck.
Womack?
No, not Womack.
Ambry Thomas.
No, he-
Salvador
No.
Lenore.
Quantrez Knight.
Quantrez Knight.
Quantrez Knight. I keep hearing that name.
Quantrez was nice with it last year. I think that's a guy that can come into training camp, and if he improves on where he was last year, I could definitely see him somehow making this team, or at least the practice squad. Because again, Kyle wants to see a jump. They're going to bring him back. He's going to get the opportunity. He'll be one of the 90-some guys, and he'll get his opportunity. But this is the perfect example to me. Look at Diamador Lenore this year. He took a huge leap. And he got starting, abilities because obviously Emmanuel Mosley went down. But everybody thought, and I thought it was going to be Ambry Thomas, right? He came in, he got his opportunity, he made the big pick to send him to the playoffs, and I was like, okay, Ambry's the guy. And Lenore kind of fell down last year. He was initially looked like he was going to be that guy, and then he got lost in the shuffle. But he had some personal stuff he admitted when the season started, and he was dealing with that. But he said, he goes, look, this offseason. Or last offseason, he flipped the script in his mind and he says, I got to ball out. He knew what he messed up with last year, and that's what you got to do. For any of these younger players, Quantrez Knight, whatever, they have to train so hard. So when you go to training camp, Kyle wants to see that improvement, and that's what happened with Talanoa Hufanga. He showed flashes this year or last year in his rookie year, but then this year, training camp, I saw a different – I was like, this guy, who is this guy? Look at this guy. He was always making plays in training camp, so you kind of saw – he was going to be that, that big time star potential guy. I didn't know if he was going to make an all-pro, which he did, but he definitely came out and showed himself in the preseason and training camp that he was going to be something special. And I was like, oh man. So if you can kind of show that to Kyle, he's going to respect it. And again, Purdy did that in training camp. Jordan Mason did that in training camp. These guys really looked the part, and then they took their opportunity and made the most of it. You had a guy like Trey Sermon. He didn't. He got cut. I don't know. I fear the same for Ty Davis Price. If he doesn't come into camp next season, he's going to get cut, just like Trey Sermon. Kyle wants you to really show improvement. That's all he wants. And again, Drake Jackson, he shut him down at the end of the season. He talked about it.
I was just going to ask you about that. Yep.
In his press conference last week, he said, hey, look, he was great when the season started. He showed his flashes, but he didn't seem like he was strong enough to finish the season. So that's basically Kyle saying, hey, look, get to training, get your body stronger. Because the NFL is a grind. It's not college where you have 11 and 12 games. I was like, damn, Kyle, you just let him know. He needs to let these guys know, hey, look, you want to make it through a full season. You're great. You have good highlight tapes. But highlight tapes isn't going to let you play a full season. So that's what he's telling them. And, it's a tough situation. And Kyle does not hold back.
Kyle's super honest with guys. And I think that's what a lot of guys respect.
Yeah. He
might hurt your feelings at the point when he tells you, but it's I don't know. I think that in business and in life,
everything you need to know to get you to where you need to be if you're going to make the decision to actually do it.
That in life and in business, I think honesty is huge. Don't tell me that I'm doing great if I suck at my job. Tell me what I suck at so that I can prove or move on to something else. I've had that in management where they give you reviews because as a company, they don't want to go after people. So the reviews are all very basic standard. They're very vanilla. And I'm like, no, freaking tell me, what do I suck at? Do I need to get better with people? Do I need to be faster? Do I need to be more aggressive and make decisions on my own without asking people? So I'm glad he's like that. And I thought that Drake Jackson looked soft personally, physically. He's a big guy, but he didn't look hard up like some people do. Yeah. He looked like a guy coming out of college who maybe ate a couple more cheeseburgers than he needed to. I think
he's only 21.
Right. What I'm saying, I hope he comes.
He could do fucking backflips though. That guy. I mean, just imagine if he was all shredded and ripped. What he could do, man.
I know. That's what I'm saying. But you're right because he needs to get jacked. He is. I hate to use the word, but he is a little. What's the word I'm looking for? I guess a little doughy. He's not like out
Right.
of shape, but he needs to tone that into muscle. And I got no place to talk. I'm fucking skinniest guy in the world. But you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I'm
Like, he
doughy.
needs
I can
he
talk.
needs to get a little bit
Pudgy.
little stronger. Yeah, I guess pudgy's the word. But the fact he's doing those backflips, the guy has athletic ability. He just needs to build his strength and his endurance up a little bit, and he will be good because he showed flashes. He really did. I was like, there's times I was like, okay, this Drake can bend around the corner. I was like, this guy could be it. Just has to harness everything, be in the weight room all off season, and really grind his body right. Because look at Brandon Ayuk when he first came in, the boy was a stick. He was skinny. Now, have you seen him when he took his shirt off in one of the post game conferences? That guy was jacked. I was like, damn, you've been hitting that weight. Like, that's what he needs. That's what he needs. I was like, man, was lucky. He like turned from like skinny me to like freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was like, damn, bro, you got swole, man. It was crazy when I saw that. I was like, yeah, okay.
What speaking of Brandon Ayuk, I guess we could just transition into that. I'll ask you guys, do the Niners pick up his 5th-year option? Can they afford to going down the line? Raj?
I think they will. Hold on. I got some news coming up here real quick.
Uh-oh.
I've been looking.
Oh, here we go.
Roger's always got the inside scoop.
49ers defensive line Chris Kasurk will remain with the NFC franchise and not pursue the Texans defensive coordinator job. Well, there we go.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is he staying with the hire or is he the guy?
Not sure. They just said that. So hold on. There's a lot of news coming up. Aaron Wilson, he's tweeting out that the Texans have requested permission to interview Chris Harris, who the 49ers have also requested permission to, or they interviewed him last week. And so the Texans and the Niners are looking at the same guy for the defensive coordinator job. Obviously, Steve Wilkes was a guy that they interviewed today, but it looks like Chris Kasurk is going to stay with the Niners, and he's not going to take a Texans job. So shout out to Chris Kasurk. He's staying loyal to the soil. We got to post this up. That's all that means. Oh,
nice.
Smokes.
That's good news.
Chris Kasurk, baby.
Staying in the Bay. Staying in the Bay. Crazy.
I'll let you. Any more news you need to leak, go right ahead. I do it on my dime.
I'll stay on, but give me a minute.
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Aaron. Are you still cool with that picture of the upcoming games, or?
Yeah.
I got one other thing I want to drop after that. So
yeah, the Brandon Ayuk question. We want to finish.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna wait for Raj to come back, then we could. Unless you guys want to hit it.
Hey,
or would you want to go to the schedule and take a look at it real quick?
I just think it's weird to
go ahead and finish off the Ayuk thing.
All right, go ahead, Ryan.
I think it's idiotic for them not to do everything to bring Brandon Ayuk back, especially if you've got somebody like Brock Purdy or Trey Lance waiting in the wings to be the quarterback. You know what I mean? It's everything's set up for Brandon to actually have a good, decent season. Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. You got to bring him back, especially if you're going to try and make a run. Anybody who's going to be at quarterback that season, especially Trey Lance, is going to need Brandon Ayuk. You know what I mean?
Right.
Somebody he not only has a lot of history with and time with, but is a talented wide receiver. So it's just better for him.
Personally, my thing is not that I don't want him. I just down the road financially, can they afford him? But I'm with you. Bring him back. He was growing. He had a really good training camp, and it was destined to have a huge season. And the whole Trey Lance thing and the relationship they had in the offseason. Trey Lance gets hurt.
He was healthy all year.
And then Jimmy, of course. And then he was doing all right with Jimmy too. Jimmy was going 2-2. Jimmy wasn't being stupid. Jimmy did well in his time when he was playing. I'm not going to lie. I know, Jimmy. And then, of course, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy wasn't really picking favorites. He was just throwing to who was open. So, but yeah, I'm all on the Brandon Ayuk train, 100%. What about you, Bash?
You guys pretty much covered it, man. But yeah, Ayuk. I don't like the idea of us drafting players, developing them, and then saying, "Oh, let's not resign the guy." Like if we develop the guy and he's productive, heck yeah, bring him back. Heck yeah, do whatever you got to do with that 5th-year option. I'm all 100% for it. And I still don't know what we're going to do at quarterback, but assuming the quarterback is going to be Trey Lance in some capacity, I'm sure Ayuk would love to be a part of that, and possibly could get the ball down the field on some deep routes for a change, which we haven't done with him. But I know he's capable of running the deep route, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do with him in the future.
Yeah, I'm all on the. I think he grew as a player. I don't know if he was really. He's still a quiet guy, but from what he was when he came to the team, and to what he's kind of turned into as a player, as far as being more of a vocal leader, he changed this year. And I guess some of the Eagles players are not happy that he said that the Niners couldn't expose them because of what happened, but the Chiefs will. I think Darius Slay was not too happy with Ayuk. So that'd be interesting if Mahomes does tear them up. Oh, that would be great.
Talking mad shit about the Eagles.
Yeah, he was on with our guy Brad from
the SF Niners.
Yeah, that was a huge dude. Freaking BA on your freaking.
Shout out to both of them.
Yeah, let's bring this up here. So everybody, for all who are not clued in, the Niners released their opponents home and away for next year, and I gotta say, looking at the schedule right now, it does look slightly favorable to win some games again. I'll let Bash go first. What do you see in this? Because I looked at it and I saw the Bucs, and I'm like, the Bucs don't got Brady. Not that it mattered when they played us this year, but what's your take?
Well, who knows? The Bucs may have Jimmy.
Ooh.
So that would be interesting if that were to happen.
I'm gonna do the Scott Hall. The ooh.
Yeah. The Ravens game sticks out as a tough game. The Ravens are always tough, and they always play us tough.
True.
The Dallas Cowboys at home, that's going to be tough. So it's going to be. Yeah, I mean that's Joe Burrow at home with Jamar Chase. That's good. That's not going to be easy, but we obviously play our best ball at home, so we'll see. Away, we're playing the Eagles. Whoa, that's probably going to be like a Sunday night game or Monday night game, so. Browns, I'm not really too worried about the Browns, and Steelers. That'd probably be a good one to watch out for. So yeah, man. Raj is back. What's up, Raj?
What's up? Yeah, Kusurik, man. So we're breaking news live with you guys here.
Nope.
He went away. I took off the schedule thingy because I wanted him to get more in the spotlight. Where'd he go?
You booted him.
I didn't boot it. No, that's a boot. It's just a stop sharing when I clicked it.
You've done that before. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
There he is. He thinks I booted you. It's because I didn't stop sharing on the picture.
Yeah, no, my bad. So so Chris Kusurik, according to Aaron Wilson, he just broke this news that he's going to remain with the 49ers and he's not going to pursue the defensive coordinator job. So first and foremost, DeMeco Ryans needs to chill a little bit. He was trying to take Chris Kusurik for the defensive coordinator job. And it turns out that Kusurik has turned it down. He says, nope, I'm going to stay with the Niners. But Miko, man, he was trying. So the Texans have requested permission to interview Chris Harris, Marquand Manuel, and Chris Kusurik. And Kusurik says, nah, man, I don't want to go. So he's loyal to Shanny. It's crazy. Miko's trying to build a superstar coaching staff. I love it. I love his aggressiveness, but at the same time, stay away from Chris Kusurik, my boy.
Miko,
we like you and everything. Don't ruin it for us.
Yeah.
Well, just think about Chris Kusurik. You're pretty much got your money made until you retire here. Pretty much,
He doesn't seem like the type of guy who a lot of people have posted this, and I've talked about it before. He seems content being a defensive line coach.
I agree.
He's kind of like some guys don't aspire to be head coaches. They like to play their role and go home at a certain time of night. And, when you're an assistant coach, or if you're the head coach or a defensive coordinator or high up on the team, like you're there all day, every day. And some people don't want that. They like to have a life outside of the guy's insane. He's an insane defensive line coach, but he gets a lot out of guys that when they go other places don't play the same. Yeah. Like Arden Key left all of a sudden, so real quick, we were talking about BY before you had to bust away for a sec.
BA. Why
do I call him BY? I'm thinking of Brian Young.
Oh, Brian Young.
I was like,
hey, Brian Young. Hey, Brian Young.
I was like, y'all talking about Brian Young? I heard you
talking
about
Young.
BA.
You're the reason why I played defensive line.
What's your take? on Brandon Ayuk.
Oh man.
I love him, man. Wide receiver one. You know, the route god. He's a beast. He's great. If he had a quarterback that could throw him the ball, he'd be putting up 1,800 yards probably. But I think the Niners will prioritize him when the time comes. 49ers, they didn't extend Nick Bosa after his third year. So if they didn't do that for Bosa, they're not going to do the same with BA. They're going to say, hey, look, you had a really solid year. Let's do it again. And then you get paid next year. But BA is the type of guy, it seems to me, that he's going to be like, you know what? Maybe I will test the market. So I think we got him for at least one more year. I think they're going to try their best to sign him. Again, Kyle traded up to get him a couple years back when they went and drafted him. You know, that was a guy that Kyle wanted. That was the receiver he wanted. I remember that year. So that was the Kinlaw year. And I was sitting there. We were draft crush central because there was so many wide receivers that year.
It was.
Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs. You know, glad we didn't get that one. And then there was Brandon Ayuk, who was the more underrated guy. There was N'Keal Harry. No, that was Debo's year. Sorry. There was a lot of receivers that year. But honestly, it was crazy. That wide receiver class was crazy. And I was like, okay, you know, who are they going to get? And I remember Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb and all the Niner fans were going between those two guys. And lo and behold, it was a guy that nobody was talking about. It was Brandon Ayuk. And I remember bringing him up once with me and Smitty, my boy from Fantasy Football Show. And we were like pulling out all the film on everybody. And we were watching this guy. And he knew because he's from Arizona. And he's like, let me put you on game on Brandon Ayuk. And I saw him. I was like, I like this guy. I wouldn't mind if we get him. Kyle went up, boom, did the thing. And I was like, okay, I like this guy. And over the last 3 years, he's really ascended. He's become a leader. Last year, again, we talked about how Kyle's tough on these young guys. He had this man in the doghouse. And now he became a top dog. Like, that's how good this guy is. He said, all right, Kyle, you going to mess with me? You're going to fuck around and find out. And he did. He literally said, fuck around and find out. I think BA will stay ultimately, but I wouldn't say it's guaranteed. It's going to be tough.
He became a leader this year. He's a quiet guy.
Yeah.
He's still a quiet guy, but he's said more. He's been more outspoken. Heck, he took a shot at the Eagles for saying that they're going to get exposed against the Chiefs, and he's got Darius Slay all up in his feelings. So, to me, if you can't resign him down the road, what kind of draft compensation do you think they could get for him? Do you think they could get a first round for him?
Yeah, I think you could get at least. You could get first. He's definitely a first round talent. He's made himself that way. I mean, he was a former first round pick, but the amount of work he's put in from his rookie season to now, to me, it's been incredible to see the growth. Again, when he was a rookie, he was, you know, that tall, lanky guy with the crazy wingspan. You know, he was hurdling over defenders. It was like, okay, this guy's cool. You could use him, trick play type guy. Second year, you know, we all thought he was going to be the man. A lot of pressure on him. He had a little injuries in camp, and then, you know, it took him some time to kind of break loose. The second half of that season last year, he really found his role. He became a really good blocker. I can't remember what game it was. God, it's going to kill me because there was a game where he gets this like crazy block. And I remember posting it went viral. This beautiful block. And you just see him celebrate. And I was like, that was the first time I had seen him happy all year last year, sometime in midseason. Second half, the man took off game-winning touchdown against the Bengals and just had big-time game after big-time game. I was like, this guy's going to be on the map. He trained so hard, like we said, in the offseason. He became swole. He just became this leader. You're right. He became a lot more vocal. There was a mic'd up, I remember, from training camp where he was leading all the wide receivers. Him and Len Hankerson, the wide receiver coach, were like very vocal. I was like, man, this is a different BA, man. And then you had Fred Warner pushing his buttons this year, getting that dog out of him, and he didn't back down. And Jimmy Ward, he didn't back down. So to me, Brandon Ayuk has become a top flight receiver. And I think because of that, all that work he's put in, he's definitely worth the first round pick.
A lot of people are saying Debo could be a trade candidate down the road if you want to re-sign him.
A lot of people say that, but they also said they got to trade killer. Niner fans are so fickle. They're going to sit there and say, trade this guy. We're not going to trade Debo, man. They just paid him $73 million. You can trade him. You can trade Kittle after they paid him all that money. He broke out. Debo just needs to stay healthy, and they need to find a quarterback that gives them stability.
Yeah, we just need a steady guy back there.
Yeah.
We're so quick to move off of people and say, yeah, trade them for picks. And I'm not bashing anybody in the comments because we all do it.
Yeah, 100%.
The thing is, there's no guarantee when you do that the guy you draft is going to be anywhere close to the dude you just replaced.
Very true.
Look at the Kinlaw situation. Oh,
Kinlaw.
Yeah, we're gonna draft him, and he's gonna take D-Bucks place, And did that happen? No. We got a freaking head case who worries more about what the media thinks than what he does in his own craft. And he gets blown up and moved off the ball, and he's like gigantic. And then you have Buckner, who never said 2 words, just dominating inside. Man, at 2019 line, when I look at that Eagles line and I look at that Dallas line, defensive line, it made me think of the 2019. And I know I might have said this to you, but Buckner, Armstead, Bosa, D Ford, Ronald Blair, TJ Jones. That was a hellacious 2019 line.
It was amazing, dude. That line was.
I miss Ronald Blair. I really do. I wish they'd bring him back. Same
He's
thing
cool,
with DJ.
dude. He's cool, dude.
Kinlaw's tape lied. You damn right it did.
I was gonna say, be careful. Kinlaw might be lurking in the chat and be like, "Hey, throw me a StreamYard link so I can get on here."
If he can come on here and tell me that I hate.
Bring him on. Bring him on. I would love it. That'd be great for the show.
Oh yeah, go on everybody's channel, man. Blow up everybody's views.
Yeah.
Aaron gets owned by.
Aaron, you get mad famous for that. They'd have you on TMZ.
They'd have me on TMZ looking stupid with my plain ass face on the camera.
They would be. Yeah, it would be Kinlaw saying, "My nuts is bigger than yours, Aaron."
I would hope so. I mean, you are like 6'11".
All right, so Ryan Hensley put this out, so I thought it was curious just to share it with you guys. Thought it was a little interesting. He said, unconfirmed rumor, Jimmy could have suited up for the NFC Championship game and chose not to. If true, it's no wonder Kyle was so dismissive of Jimmy in the press conference. And then he follows it up with, I have heard this from 2 sources, neither strong enough to confirm. This is why the first 2 words in this post are unconfirmed rumor. This is something that may have not been confirmed or for a very long time down the road. Only Jimmy and his circle really know if this is true. So that's a funny little tidbit that Ryan Hensley put out. I mean, take it for what it is, but I mean, Raj, you'd know better than anybody because you work in the field of sports medicine. What do you think?
I've never heard of an unconfirmed rumor. That's all I'm going to say about that.
It's like an oxymoron or a double negative. Just like
I saw that too. I was like, it just seems like something.
Sounds like the telephone game to me.
Yeah, it seems like something like somebody's like drawn something up for free views and click. And I got no disrespect, but I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me.
It definitely got some attention. Pissed off a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people commented on it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of
When I was in high school, I was a student athletic trainer. I'm guessing nothing close to what Raj over here does. I don't know what you do, but I guess you obviously do it for profession. But anytime somebody was injured and coming out of something, like anytime we taped them up really tough to the point where they couldn't move anything till it was essentially immobilized. And then you kind of go a little bit lighter until like we'd stop with tape and we go to cloth afterwards, right? And by the time, the tape, the hard tape came off and the cloth, that's when you knew you were kind of on your way out, right? So Jimmy being able to play well, it's going to be when that ankle is wrapped in like a cloth. Well, that's what we used to do. I don't know what they use now, but we used to, where it had some give, but it still had, some resistance. And that's kind of where you want somebody to come back, realistically from an injury, because then they're less likely to re-injure it.
Yeah.
Essentially at that point, you're just making sure all the ligaments are strong enough because they've been immobilized for so long to stop themselves from being hurt again. And that's why that wrap, it kind of goes a little like less restrictive.
Yeah, 100%. You give them some type of brace to stabilize. That's it. It's just you're providing stability. But to me, it's weird because the time frame is okay. The week before, I think leading up to that week, he was still reportedly in a boot. I think he was still in a walking boot. So like to go from a walking boot to being able to play in the NFC Championship game or whatever, the next game, whatever the case is, I don't know. That's kind of a stretch to me. I just feel like it was an unfortunate time when he did get hurt. So the time frame was so small. Like, and back when the injury happened, I said too, I was like, I don't know if he would be able to play in the playoffs, because remember there were reports and says, hey, if he's clear, they're going to play. And in my mind, I'm like, that's kind of a small time frame based on my knowledge with the situation. So I don't know. I think maybe if they would have made it to the Super Bowl, it could have been likely because you get that extra 2 weeks. That definitely would have been a story, but I don't think NFC Championship game. And again, I've never heard of a unconfirmed rumor. That was fun. When I saw it, I was like,
it's the first time for everything.
Yeah, that's true, Bash.
Tommy Huxley with the $2 super says trade Kinlaw for a dirty pair of work shoes.
I wish I could bring up this chat. It's from Ted Talks Ball. He says he thought that game recognized game was a sports reference until Bash clued me in, because we're talking about hip hop references, and I was impressed the one time that Ted Talks Ball said game recognized game on the show. So I just want to throw that out there. He to put that in the chat. So
game recognized. Ted's my boy, man. Shout out to Big Ted in the chat. I see you. My man Ted. We've done some shows together. I love Ted. He's a good dude.
Ted is a
Always
great dude.
Time. Yeah, always a good time catching up with him.
I keep telling him, man, you got to take some of that Twitter friggin' like that venom on Twitter, man. Start putting in the
put it on your show.
I want you
Let
to
it
be
out.
pissed. Yeah, he says his wife. I think his wife told him he was too nice or something. Like he's or something. I think me and him were agreeing on everything, and she was like, She wants it like, but even when we disagree, it's like super passive aggressive. So
do it. That'd be a great show. People would tune in just to see you guys fight it out, and then it could be like Ted's toxic about balls, something like that. Just be
Ted
nasty.
talks ball
Toxic
and first
Ted.
takes.
Yeah,
It might be the
toxic
end.
takes with Ted. Look at we're on to something.
Oh, there you go, Ted. You got to jot that one
I
down.
told you, off-season's my game, man.
TTT.
Let's
Ted's
go.
toxic.
I do
takes.
remember that you were asking Raj and telling him that, hey, there's nothing to talk about in the off season. Remember last year putting Raj on my show, and before the show even started, and I was like, yeah, man, it sucks when it's off season slow. You got to kind of dig things out of your ass to talk about. He's like, nah, man, this is where I thrive. This is where I go big, you know.
This is it, man. This is why people like the content show, like me and other folks. We somehow find ways to talk about ball, you know. So
Right.
yeah.
Do you did you take a look at the schedule? Have you?
Yeah, of course I did. That was a beautiful schedule. I
think it's a very
Which
winnable
game do you
schedule.
think we're playing in Arizona, or not Arizona, in Mexico?
You know what? I don't know if we're playing a Mexico game this year. I think the rumor is this is an unconfirmed rumor here.
Whatever that
I've
means.
heard maybe possibly the Jaguars could be a London game. That would be fucking crazy. I would go crazy if that's the case. The Jaguars London Monday night special. Can you imagine? That would be cool. To me, I think they need to open the season with the Eagles and the Niners week 1. There's going to be a lot of bad blood spilling into the season. Get the season started with the Eagles. Give me that one. I got it circled.
It's either that or Dallas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's either that or Dallas.
Yeah.
Niners Dallas, I think, personally, would draw a bigger. Well, I think it would draw a bigger rating because there's really no bad blood. There's no history between us and the Eagles. Just a little bit.
After this week, there was. After this year, there was.
I mean,
but only for 2 cities.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Niners,
it's more
Cowboys,
of a, yeah.
Yeah, Niners Cowboys is kind of like the
either you like the Cowboys or you don't, and you go for the Niners.
yeah, that's true.
It's funny to look at this schedule and we all do it and be like, yeah, we're going to win like this many games. And then you see how good everybody is during the season and your opinion completely changes. So, be interesting to see how this one pans out, but it's so far away from now. I'm not too worried about it at this point because the Niners still have a draft and free agency to deal with. I guess the last thing is that what's good news is we have Trent Williams staying for a year. That worried the hell out of me, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. That when I saw that news, because I was out Saturday, and I think I was at Smashburg with my daughter. We were out grocery shop. I was working, come back, and I see the notification, and I'm like, oh crap, hold up. And I was like posting it, and I was like freaking out because all week I was a little stressed. I'm not gonna lie to you because there was the reports he might retire, and then I watched the video of him talking to the reporters. I feel like they were just pressing him. He was tired, and then Kyle said, "Yeah, we don't think he's gonna retire." So it was kind of weird because you start thinking, were these reports, accurate? And then you see Trent, he looked exhausted, and when that news came out, I was like, thank God, because it was a stressful week. The Niners lost, D'Amico's gone, we don't have a quarterback basically. So it was definitely the bright spot of the entire week, and it starts the season off on a good note. Because if we would have lost Trent this year, I don't know what the hell we would do. I really don't.
And I've been wanting to replace McGlinchey and just build up the offensive line in general. And I'm like, dude, we're gonna losing Trent in on paper. You think you got to work twice as hard.
It would feel like the 2014 season.
But in reality, you got to work 10 times as hard if Trent Williams were to leave and
Yep.
retire early. So, and he put it out there that he wanted to finish off the remainder of his contract. So if that's the case, even better, man.
He said he'll be 39 by the time it ends. Does anybody know, Raj, how much have you looked into the draft so far?
I haven't got too far into it. I actually today, so I don't know
This
if I told you guys.
DeJuan Jones, this guy brought up DeJuan Jones. I don't know if he's an offensive tackle. That's a
Big
name.
Trent with him. Maybe he looks like a I'm gonna look into it starting this week. I was actually with Larry Kruger. We got a new show on Mondays now, so I'm prime time with Larry
jealous.
on Mondays.
Good for you.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
he was talking all this like draft stuff, and I was like, damn, I gotta get.
Yeah,
on
Larry's
the game.
it's like drugs for him, man.
I gotta
He's
tackle
such a
for you
scout, bro.
guys.
Like I know some of the guys, but man, he was just like dropping the names. I was like, fuck, Larry. I was like, you are a scouting god. Like he knew it. So I'm gonna get on my game about, I love draft season. For me, it hasn't started yet, but I will definitely get there and be looking at these guys because we have 11 draft picks. I don't know if they're gonna keep all 11. Maybe they trade them. But if I'm gonna be going on with,
I think
Larry
we're
on
moving
Monday,
into the second round.
I think we could. I think we could. Honestly,
I think the Niners are moving up this year. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, they don't have a lot of holes, but they do have some. 49ers throwback asked if you're going to the Cowboys game again, and do you think you might wear the 49ers will the Niners wear their 94 throwback uniforms? That would be.
I would.
They would
bet
have to
money.
wear those too. They'd have to wear the ones with the stars.
Yeah, I would bet money they make that a throwback type game for.
Oh, that would be
cool.
awesome.
Two teams, the 90, they would play that up. You can really play that up. The marketing would go crazy.
Yeah.
If I had to bet money throwback, that they would put that as one of the games where they wear the throwbacks, and I'll be wearing my Fred Warner throwback then. So I can't wait. I can't wait for the next season, man. When I saw the schedule, I was like, that's kind of nice. We can finally look forward to next year because it's gonna be a long off season. But hey, I can't wait. I can't wait till tickets drop, or I can't wait till they kind of release what days those games are going to be because I'm going to definitely be picking up some game tickets for that.
I have to look at that schedule again because if we're going to play, who are we playing on the East Coast? I think we're playing the Giants in Santa Clara. That sucks.
Yeah, you're right. So let me take a look at it again. So East Coast, we got the Steelers, I guess the Jaguars, but again, that could be international game. The Commanders, the Eagles, those are all East Coast, and then you got.
I ain't going to no Eagles.
Yeah, I want to go to that one. I mean, I might get murdered, but I got to go. And then you got Browns and the Vikings. They're not East, but mid north.
Wait, should I travel? That means I did have to travel to Pittsburgh. Is Cleveland too? Is that East?
Midwest. It's Midwestish.
I've been to Cleveland before. It's a couple hours away.
Not too far from you. It's a little further.
Maybe I'll go to a Cleveland Browns game. Wear my Niners stuff.
Yeah.
I've never been to an NFL game in my life, guys.
You can meet up with John V. John V will probably be at that game if you go to the Browns game.
You gotta go, man.
Dude, if I team up with John V, we should go to the Eagles game. We'll
He's gonna probably get in a fight.
You know what? Honestly,
it's 2 versus 90,000, but we got it.
Every 49er content creator out there, I feel we should all go to the Eagles game. Every single one of us. Let's all go. Save our money up if you have to. Let's all go to Philly, man, and let's go. Let's invade it. Can you imagine every content creator, me, you, Breezy, Chapman, Crocker, everybody?
That would be insane.
That would be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Still wouldn't outnumber them.
Yeah, we wouldn't.
An ass kicking still might happen.
Would be fire.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Have our own little media row.
Yeah.
Ash says he has a prospect for us. So I'm going to put this on the screen.
Because we were talking about replacing McGlinchey. This guy's out of BYU. His name is Blake Freeland. I learned about him a couple of days ago. I was watching some videos on him. He's another 6'8" offensive tackle guy. But from what I was reading, he grades pretty well in the pass blocking game, and he might be available in the 4th round, let's say 3rd round maybe. He's at the Senior Bowl right now, so that's a guy to watch out for.
Big boy. He's a big boy.
Big boy.
6'8", geez Louise.
Ooh, I'm looking at.
I have a best friend who's 6'8".
Looking at some highlights right now, boys.
And Rod just so quick to pull the trigger with the internet searches and finding out the news and looking at videos and all that, man.
This could be a draft. Let me see. I'm looking at this. Oh, he's got a big base. He's got. I like his leverage.
That's the one thing about Trent Williams. His base is like immovable.
Yeah. I like him. You might.
It's
I might
all
have to dig
in the
deep.
hips. Seriously, in most every single sport, the most crucial thing is where your hips are.
Go man wins, offense and defense.
Like
That's why Kinlaw. That's why
Shakira-
Kinlaw was getting pushed into the secondary.
Oh my god! And then Armstead was like, "Oh, well, that was my bad because I was supposed to cover the A gap." I'm like, dude, even if you cover the A gap,
Mr. Big Balls, Mr. Big Balls. I got bigger balls than you yet. I can't anchor.
Even if Armstead covered the A gap,
He looks good, but there is some flaws I see already.
yeah,
Lateral mobility. They're saying it's
that's why he has a 4th round grade or 3rd round
that's why
grade.
Oh, he
Fourth
sounds
round
just
grade.
like McGlinchey, but without the price tag.
Yeah.
Well, from what I was reading, that he could actually pass block. I mean,
He looks like a
Yeah.
good pass protector. But again, this is college reps in the Senior Bowl.
oh
Obviously,
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Mhm.
So I'll have to run the tape. But I mean, there's some promise there.
Well, fellas, it's about that time. I think we've said what we needed to say. I appreciate Roger coming in, even towards the end.
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Well,
Sorry, I
he's
wasn't
been
more
here for more
clear.
than an hour.
Yeah, it's not the end now when we gone this long.
Yeah, we've been on a while. Guys, I don't know what we're gonna do as far as doing weekly shows
Bullshit.
anymore, just because it's in a little bit of a slow period. But I was definitely happy that I decided to do this. I was in kind of a poo-poo mood the last couple of days, been kind of down. The YouTube thing sometimes, and you look at people who are, larger and stuff, and you're like, because when I got on YouTube, I thought it was like a niche, like, oh man, I got this. I didn't realize how big it was going to be and how many people there were going to be. I thought I was doing something that no one else thought of. Nope.
No.
Everybody had thought of it already. I just didn't know.
You know what happened? COVID happened, and everybody got bored, so they all took to YouTube. But don't compare yourself to any other. You're yourself.
I do it all the time. I
Stop
had that.
it, because I've been down that rabbit hole. I'm a big page, but at the end of the day, you do what makes you happy. Create the content that you feel you like, and make yourself happy. Because I have to tell myself that sometimes. But man, don't get upset. If you ever need any help, you got your boys here. I see you do this thing every week with the NWO. It's pretty cool. I keep doing it. You love it. They love it. The fans love it. You have your group. You'll continue to grow as long as you're having fun. And hey, reach out to me. You never know if it's 7:30 and I'll hop on, man.
If I'm not
Eat my
smashing
tacos real quick.
eat my
keep
tacos.
doing your thing, man. Don't worry about other people, because
You're
everybody's
right.
doing their own thing, man. Just stop it.
I
Fuck
just
those other
I
people.
second guess myself a lot. That's why the end of the season is such a bad thing, because it's like when there's stuff going on, you don't really think about like the negativity part. Maybe that's in your own brain, but when there's time to think about it and there's dead time, that's why I'm like, what we got to do a stream tonight. Whether anybody shows up to watch it or not, I don't give a.
Just do it.
So I'm glad I did it, and I'm glad
If you got ideas in your mind and you're thinking about something, like let's just say like you randomly sitting on your couch and you're like, fucking Javon Kinlaw, whatever, and you want to come on live.
Believe me,
your
I
thoughts
wanted
out.
to
Just
go.
do
I
it.
wanted to go in on them, but
Do it. This is your platform.
And you're all the way in Rochester, New York. He's not gonna lay a hand on you, dude.
I could take him. I'll go for his knees.
His nuts are bigger than yours. You know it, man.
I'm only 6'3", though. He's like 6 gazillion or whatever, but he doesn't know how to anchor his base. So maybe I just go for a midsection shot and take him down. I don't know. Probably not though. Probably not though. I will get destroyed. I'm a little out of shape, just a tad. But hey, appreciate everybody coming through. Appreciate the chat. Thanks for the supers. Everybody have a great freaking night. I'll keep you posted on the community tab if we're doing shows or whatnot. It's like I said, it's kind of a weird place right now. Hopefully we get some confirmed stuff in the next couple of days with the coaching staff and all that other stuff. Our defensive coordinator, and then we could talk about
We'll
that.
hear
So
something tomorrow around 2:00 ish.
between that and Purdy, it's definitely something we could talk about. But
We got news coming up this week. Let me tell you, we got some news coming this week. You got defensive coordinator news. I'm thinking it's happening tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure we'll get the Purdy news update within the next 2 days. So stay tuned. You'll have
Awesome.
something to talk about. And
Yeah.
hey, Chris Kasurek is staying in the Bay,
I'm
baby.
so happy
Yes,
about that.
sir. Chris K.
All right,
Stay in the
everybody.
Bay.
Take care. Have a good night, everyone.
Sir.
Yeah.